All right, traders, so the green streak continues. I ended up playing some put options on FNKO stock. At the peak, I'm currently up 79% on those contracts, holding overnight for a swing trade as I'm expecting it to be over 120% gainer. With that being said, I bought puts, betting on that stock to go down twice today. The first trade was a 28% win. The second trade was a 30% win, and then I left on 20% of my position sizing, currently up 80% on those. The portfolio on the day is up 7.21%. With that being said, within the past 6 days, my account is up nearly 50%. Within this video, I'm going to be recapping the trades, teaching you the price action, teaching you the strategies on how we're able to consistently profit within this bear market, trading options, mainly puts. And I'm also going to be giving you the updated price action analysis. We're going to be going over SPY, we're going to be going over EOG, FNKO, CVX, AVT, LabD, Esto, TBT, Upstart, massive crash due to earnings, right? We have a lot to go over, and we got some great setups coming up, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare you to trade the best setups at the best prices. A lot of stocks right now are getting brutally beaten down towards their lows. What I'm trying to do is focus on stocks towards their resistance, towards their all-time highs, towards their key make it or break it resistance levels. And I have a couple of stocks lined up for you that are on track to continue to crash, that are extremely overbought, while most stocks are oversold, because we like trading at the best prices. So let's get into it. So in terms of SPY, if you watched my previous video, I told you guys I wasn't expecting a bull run right away. I said it could possibly happen quickly, but I was giving you guys a price target of $411 by Friday. As you can see, the macro move that we have been anticipating has finally kicked in. SPY had its macro move. It's been macro bearish for quite some time. It finally had the macro move. And when the macro kicks in on that bearish side, you do not play calls. So heading into the pre-market, you guys are well aware the key make it or break it level was the 52-week lows at 404 and the key support at 405. If it were to crack that, it would be on track to go back down to fill this gap, which is why I didn't play calls on SPY until the gap filled today. I actually played calls when the gap filled, when it bounced off 461 and it spiked to about 4161. I played some same day expirations within a couple of minutes, in and out, made a quick 20%. That was alerted in the SPY trading chat, just a quick little scalp. But with that being said, you can see, once SPY cracks this 405 level, your next overall support is this gap fill at $400. Once it cracks $400, your next gap fills at $396.33. If it cracks that, your next support level is $394. If it cracks that, your next gap is at $389. You got a lot of micro gaps to fill here on the SPY. So what we're currently seeing is we are seeing the macro bearish move kick in. And when this kicks in, you don't want to be holding any calls, right? So I'm mainly day trading. In terms of my latest swing trade, I'm going to be going over FNKO. I'm currently up 80% on the contracts that I decided to hold overnight. But in terms of SPY, we have bounced off of 396. It is currently down during the future hours trading session. We did see a tiny little bounce off of 396. So for those of you who are wondering in terms of key potential levels, 396, there is a gap to fill right there, 396.33. That's going to be the new make it or break it support level. If it cracks that, then 394.73 is the next level. If it cracks that, then 389 is the next level. Overall, I've been avoiding SPY. Like I told you guys, I've been finding much greater success in just trading stocks. I had a quick micro trade today. This was alerted on the SPY trading floor within the chat. That's the channel dedicated to just the SPY, just the market analysis. When SPY filled the gap right here and it started pushing up, I played a quick call at like 401.60, and then when it ripped up to like 402.40s, I sold it for a quick 20% gain. And it's a good thing I sold because it went back to my initial entry, and then it had a nice move up and went way above my initial entry. But the point is, the gap close reversal micro strategy worked. I'd explained in yesterday's video, if 404 to 405 cracks, which it did in the pre-market, then that's the macro kicking in. If SPY's getting new 52-week lows, we're going to be on track to see that macro bearish move. It had a quick pop at the open, but as you can see, that pop was simply turning this 405 to 404 level into a resistance level, which is very, very bearish because that's the previous 52-week low. So then it's going to be on track to fill the gap, and I did use the gap close reversal strategy. This is when SPY filled the gap. In the SPY trading floor, when it filled the gap, I waited for it to go up a little bit. I waited for the higher support to form. And then once it had this move up right here at 401s, I bought the calls, made a quick 20% return on the contracts in a couple minutes, sold them, and then I said I'm done with SPY for the day. In terms of the trade of the day, and this is where the vast majority of the profits came from, was put options on FNKO. And if you watched my video yesterday, I'd given you guys a phenomenal trading plan on EOG. Unfortunately, it did not go back to the previous closing price, but if you were willing to take on the extra risk in terms of opportunity to buy puts, the opportunity was right around here. You had a nice double top at open, a very nice new low of day key breakdown. SPY was looking bearish as well. And then on this rip, it turned previous support, the market open support, into a resistance level starting to break down. The EOG put options printed like crazy. Hash Trader traded those. He was up over 100% on the contracts. It's absolutely insane on how well these printed. Look at the returns on EOG. And I'm the one who pointed you guys in that direction for being bearish. I didn't play it because it didn't hit the best price, but I would have played, I swear, I would have played it right around here towards this 128. I was very interested in it. I told myself I was willing to take the extra risk. It's just the problem was I was focused on trading other stocks. I was looking at SPY at the time, and I was looking at FNKO, and I was in FNKO at the time. So I put all my focus into that one trade. I don't like entering multiple trades to begin with. I just like trading what I feel is best and what I feel comfortable at. And in terms of entry, I also felt I got a much better entry on FNKO. But this was a phenomenal first red day short. It hit the all-time highs. Wait for the first red day. This is the first red day. You can see right here, it hits the all-time highs, big green bar. Next day is the first red day. It comes crashing back down to fill the gap below, and it never went back to the previous closing price until the day after. History repeated itself, and I called this out in yesterday's video. We had people play this one. They did very well. One guy commented on my channel, I think he turned like $120 into like, he made like a 10x return on these. He commented on my channel. It's crazy. But you could see same candle, new all-time highs, wait for the first red day, buy puts towards, or if you want the best price, at that previous closing price. But if you're not going to get it at the previous closing price, you just have to be aware you can be squeezed. And in terms of entries, when the resistance forms and it starts breaking down, right here, breaks the key support, resistance forms, wait for it to pop back up. When previous support reacts as a resistance right around here, that's when you play the puts. These printed like crazy. Stock went from 129 all the way down to 116s. Now, in terms of FNKO, I'm in on a swing trade for this one. I played this one twice. This was my high confidence setup. Members got to see me trade this one live on stream today. 9:59 a.m. I bought FNKO puts at 50 cents. The strike was out of money, $20. May 20th expiration. This is a starting position in a more higher risk trade. And then I sold the vast majority of that position for about a 25% win. And then I re-entered right here. This was alerted as well. I re-entered right here at 12:50 p.m. right here when it was at 2080. I re-entered as soon as I got in. The stock dropped 50 cents in a couple minutes and my contracts were up 30%. I held 20, I took profits on that dip for a 30% win, back to back, like almost 30% wins. And then I held 20% of my size. And on that 20% size, I'm currently up 80%. So why did I decide to buy put options twice on FNKO? I was looking at the daily chart and I was saying, wow, there's a lot of resistance right here in this extended hours trading at 2170. And it's got big downside. It crashed all the way down to 1870, right? So the stock hit the previous closing price today and it rejected as soon as it hit it right here. It rejected, started to pull back, and then it quickly ripped up. And I was noticing that, this is at key major resistance in extended hours. Why not give it a shot and then play for this gap to fill below? You got a gap to fill below at 1672s. Why not just try to take advantage of that move where it tops out at 2170s right here, and then it likes to sell off hard back into the 19s? A strong reason why I answered this trade as well is because of the daily chart. Every single time the stock has a massive gap up, a key resistance, the second day it tends to sell off. So right here, it had a massive gap up, a key resistance. The second day, it went back to the previous high, went red, sold off. And then on the third day, it came crashing back down to a low of 1880 to fill that gap below right here. So see, big gap up, key resistance, which is at 2106. The second day it retests, goes red, and then the third day is the second red day it fills the gap, right? That's not the first time this stock has done that. You could see right here, massive gap up at that key, basically $20 resistance. The second day it retests the high and it goes red, and then it starts to sell off for that swing trading opportunity. Here we go again. Has a massive gap up. On the second day it goes red, and then on the third day, red again, crashes, fills the gap below. So you see the pattern, you see the trend. It has a big gap up, it hits key resistance. The second day, it likes to retest that previous resistance, that previous day's high, and then it goes red on the day. And then after that, on the third day, it has its second red day, it continues to crash to go back down to fill this gap below. So what I'm thinking for is, I'm looking for that morning panic. What I've noticed with this one is it has big moves at market open. See, this is a big move at market open. $20.25 all the way to 1870 within 1 minute, right? And then this is a big move at market open. Right here, it had a quick morning panic, 21.28 all the way down to 20.78, and then it rips from 20.78 to 22.20. So my plan on this is very simple in terms of this swing. Get out on the morning panic because it could rip back up later on. It's either going to do something like this where it just has a big sell-off, then reverses, or a tiny sell-off, then reverses. Either way, as long as this sells off and goes to my target, which is towards 1870, 1880, that is going to be my target for this tomorrow. The put options are going to print like crazy. Now, don't go chasing this. Don't go out of the money. This has already played out. You know, I'm up 80% on these. If you're not in now, then just stay away from this one. This was alerted twice today within Trader Society. It was a phenomenal trading opportunity where you could have traded it, 2 times in one single day. It's crazy. If I were to hold the puts from where I got in initially at 9:59 a.m., which was right here at 2170s towards the top, I bought those at 50 cents. Those are now worth $1.20, right? It's just crazy, man. That's over 120% return. But still, I'm up 80%. The contracts are up 109% on the day. I'm looking to get out very early if we get that morning panic tomorrow. If it instantly starts ripping against me, then I might just get out right away and then look to get back in on a bigger rip. That's probably what I'll end up doing. So if this does rip up tomorrow, I'm going to be keeping an eye on 1965 and $20.80. 2080 and 1965 will be some key levels I'm watching, but I am expecting this stock to drop tomorrow and explain to you why. So that's my swing trade. Now let's talk upcoming setups. In terms of upcoming setups, CVX. I think CVX can personally see a red day tomorrow. This is looking very bearish. We have a triple top, all-time high, lower high, sells off, sells off, sells off. And it's looking very bearish. You got a big red candle here. What does it do? It sells off hard. You got a big red candle here. So what can it do if history repeats itself? We're looking at a hard 1 to 2 day sell-off on this particular stock. I'm bearish. Within time, I've also been anticipating, that's going to take weeks, but I've been anticipating this 144 gap fill. The stock is struggling. Everything's selling off. This is just sitting towards all-time highs. It looks extremely bearish. I will say this, in terms of leap puts, if we rip back up to 170.69, that's where I'll be looking to buy some leap put options on this one. In terms of day trading opportunity, I do think we could see a nice little red day tomorrow. So in terms of this one, the best price to buy puts is 170.69. In terms of tomorrow, if I see the previous closing price react as a resistance level, which is 159.25, I will look to buy the put options, and my max risk is going to be like 161 on those. If you want to play it super safe, then 160. I cut my losses extremely quickly. In terms of my position sizing, what I've been doing lately is on my high confidence trades, I'll size in about 10% of my portfolio into a safe at the money option contract that is typically the one closest to expiration. That's typically what I'll do. And then I'll risk 20% of the contract, which is 2% of my account. And then in terms of my reward, it can be 6% of my portfolio to 10%. If I make a 60% return on the contract, that's 6% return on my portfolio. If I make 10% on the, if I make 100% on the contract, that's 10% of my portfolio. That's how I've been sizing lately. I've been putting in 10% of my portfolio into these put options. Just within the past 3 days alone, doing that, my portfolio has been up 4%, and I cut my losses super quick when the contract goes 20% against me. So CVX, like I said, 159.25. If it breaks down, reacts as a resistance, buy puts at the previous closing price, how low can it go? Ride the puts down to 156.50 to 156. That's what we're looking at, man. I'm looking at this move. You see how history is repeating itself. So in terms of this strategy, this is a strategy where I showed you with EOG, where it's like history is repeating itself, right? We're looking for history to repeat itself. So for tomorrow, we're looking for something like this to occur, where it touches the previous closing price, forms resistance, sells off hard. And in terms of that hard sell-off, if 159.26 can react as a resistance, we're looking at a sell-off to about the closing price of this candle. The closing price of this candle is towards 156. That's the play for CVX put options. I'll be going with the shortest term expiration, and I'll be going with an at-the-money strike, potentially maybe slightly in the money. 160 strike. If you want to play it riskier, then 157.5. Wouldn't recommend, but 160 strike is what I'll be looking into. So in terms of our next stock, this one has light volume. We have light volume. Notice how the stocks that I'm showing you are extremely overbought towards key resistance that no one's talking about. That's because I don't want to be chasing stocks that are hitting their all-time lows or hitting their 52-week lows. Roblox was a different type of setup where it worked out phenomenal. But the point is, I want to focus on something that's more of a guarantee that's at key major resistance. And in terms of the stocks that I'm showing you, that's what we're currently looking at. There will be times where I do play key breakdowns. It's just those key breakdowns are going to get hit the hardest when the market starts to squeeze back for a little micro uptrend. So I like to play it safe and focus on resistance. That's what's working best for me. So in terms of our next one, AVT, the volume's light. The play on this one is we're looking very bearish here. This could be a leap put option once we get some bearish candles on the daily. But the point with this stock is the all-time highs are at 51.5. If you study the 20-year chart of this stock, it always comes crashing back down. It always tops out at $51 to $49. That's the range where it always tops out. And we've been sitting for 3 days straight. You got a trend reversal candle here. You got a bearish pin, a bearish doji coming in here. So the plan is buy puts on the first red day for a quick in and out micro move. Stay at the money. The volume is extremely light. When the volume is light on these, you got to be staying at the money. You cannot be going out of the money. You're going to get hurt until those become in the money. So just make sure that you're staying at the money, especially on the light volume ones. The more volatile ones, if you want, you can go a little bit further out of the money, but I always like to stay at the money, right? So the strike price closest to the stock price. That's what I'm doing. If you feel like it can have a huge move in your favor, then you can go a little bit out of the money, but I don't recommend going too far out, especially if the volume's light. So for AVT, I'm thinking we get a pullback to about $45. It's an okay setup. It's not that great. LABD, this one is wild. So for this one, there's a gap to fill right here at 76.90. And you could see it filled this gap, had a reversal, sold off, right? We're towards some key major resistance. We're approaching this key 80s with big downside micro potential. So the game plan is very simple. Do what we did in terms of the EOG game plan. Just wait for the first red day. Look at this. Every single time this stock is pushing at crazy resistance level, like it's having a big micro move up from 30 to 80, right? This is insane. Every single time it has its first red day, it likes to close weak at the lows. Look at the candlesticks. It's pushing up strong, first red day, closes weak at the lows. Pushing up strong, first red day, closes weak at the lows. Pushing up strong, first red day, closes weak at the lows, right? History tends to repeat itself. So you got to find charts like this. That amazing trade idea I gave out in yesterday's video on EOG, if you watched it, that was all solely based off of history repeating itself. I had explained, it pushed up towards all-time highs right here on its first red day, it closed weak at the lows. Look at today, it pushed up towards all-time highs right here, same pattern. First red day, gaps down, doesn't go back to the previous closing price, closes weak at the lows, comes down to fill the gap, comes down to fill the gap, right? So now from here, we wait for 132.22. We don't know when it's going to fill that gap at 132.22, but when it does, what we do know is we're going to buy some puts. See right here, that same pattern comes back down to fill the gap on the first red day, then it rips back up to fill the gap. Now we're waiting to buy puts at that key resistance levels. I don't want to try to buy and catch a micro call in this bloody market. And the reason why I'm saying that right now is the macro has kicked in for the market. Things have drastically changed from yesterday's video to this video. This is the beauty of being a day trader. You get in, you get out, you adapt. But in terms of this market right now, all I've been doing is just focused on put options. With that being said, I gave you the new best level for EOG. Within time, it'll get back there. Who knows when? It could be a long time, but whenever it happens, and we have that opportunity that no one else was aware about. And then, like I said, LABD, first red day, when it gaps down, buy the puts. Previous closing price of the day it gaps down will be the best price to enter. And if you want, you can enter a little bit off from the previous closing price in situations like these, but you have to do it the right way. You have to use bearish confirmations. When it cracks the lows, wait for it to rip back up. When the previous low at the market open turns into resistance, then you buy the puts, like how I showed you on EOG. So the best price was the previous closing price. But if it forms resistance and then breaks down, you can wait for it to pop back up to the previous support right here and it starts to sell off, then you can get in. That's how I would recommend playing those. It's just, it has to be at such major strong resistance, and it has to be in a situation where the stock is known for closing weak at the lows if you're going to do that. At the end of the day, the best thing you can do is wait for them to go back to the previous closing price for the gap close reversal to fill the gap below setup. So this was a classic gap fill, history repeated itself setup. Unfortunately, it wasn't a gap close reversal because it didn't go back to the PCP, the previous closing price, but it was a gap fill strategy. Right here, pushes for all-time highs. Right here, pushes for all-time highs. First red day, closes weak at the lows, fills the gap. First red day, closes weak at the lows, fills the gap right here, and it goes even lower. So our next setup is going to be SDOW. So remember, LABD, keep an eye on that one for the first red day. That's going to be a good one. I'm telling you guys, that's going to be a really good one. So SDOW. For this one, there's a gap to fill at 34.48. If we can form strong resistance, some micro bearish confirmations at 34.38, I'm going to look to play the puts on this one, ride it back down to about $33 to $32 for the gap to fill below. That's what I'm looking at on this SDOW right here. TBT, this is okay right now. It's pushing for new 52-week highs. You can see we had some gaps to fill above right here. Let's go throughout this. So we had quite a few gaps to fill right here. It's at 2060.78 right now. There was multiple gaps to fill. We had a gap to fill at 26.54. And you can see it's got big downside potential from this 26.50 resistance level, right? So you got a lot of resistance at 26.50. You got nice micro downside potential. You had a gap to fill at 26.54. So the game plan is, if this cracks tomorrow, if we go under 26.60 tomorrow, if it cracks 26.60s, or if it turns the previous closing price 26.78 into resistance, right? To play the puts at the key resistance, or at when it goes down, you can even add or just play puts there when it goes down under that 26.60 level. Play the puts, ride it back down to 26.42. If it cracks 26.42, it falls off a cliff and it really starts to go down to fill the gap below. Keep an eye on this, man. This is the first red day on a 52-week high. It's at key resistance for a gap close reversal. So keep a close eye on this one, TBT, for tomorrow. You could see the put option volume is really starting to pick up on this one. So I'm gonna keep a close eye on that one for the 27 put strike, actually 26 put strike with a lighter size. That's what I'll be doing most likely, going a little bit out of the money on that. Upstart had a massive sell-off with the earnings, this is now trading at $42 a share. I mean, literally every stock in the market right now looks like it wants to go to about $1. So with that being said, we did have a gap to fill below right here at $60, which was the lowest gap. Well, due to earnings, we blew right through that. So this one is a little bit tricky. This is just something on my radar. There's not much of a setup. There's not much of a move right now. I just want to keep it on my radar and just see how it reacts. You can see it had earnings right here. It gapped down. It ripped back up towards market open. So we'll see, man. I mean, if anything, I'm thinking a push up in the morning tomorrow. So I'll see how it reacts. We got to wait till the pre-market on this one and see how strong it looks. It's due for some sort of micro push up. It's just stocks are so bearish and stocks are hitting like very, very low levels. So we do have to see, but that's how it reacted last time in that situation. So, yeah, in terms of the best setups that I'm currently seeing, my favorite ones, LABD, first red day, very simple setup. CVX, that's going to be one of my top setups for tomorrow. And FNKO, I'm already in on that one. And then EOG, we got to wait for it to go back to that level. Whenever it happens, it happens. When the price alert triggers, no one else is going to be aware of trading the best setup at the best price. So that's going to be a phenomenal trading opportunity. I mean, you've seen what I can get you guys into. This was insane, man. It's just I would have gotten in if it would have went back to the previous closing price. And I was willing to play it. I said on stream today, like if we can rip back up towards this previous support at 128.50, I'll look to play puts. I set my price alert at 129. I set it right here instead of the bottom of the wick, and it never triggered, and I was focused on other stocks, and I waited too long to get in. It's all good though, because I played FNKO twice today very nicely with the put options. So my true favorite best setups out of all these right now, CVX for tomorrow, look for the key breakdown at 160 to turn into at 150, 925 to turn into resistance. It falls off a cliff if we are red tomorrow, and if we can crack 159.26, that's the key level. If you see 159.26 crack tomorrow, this should sell off hard to 156, and the puts should print about at least 30-40%. And then in terms of LABD, first red day, puts are going to go crazy. You can see right here. So in terms of the strike price, I will be going with, ideally, I want an $80 strike. So these will be more expensive, maybe even a 75 strike. We'll see. But one of those strikes, we got to see how the spreads are. I want to get a decent fill on these. The spreads are a little wide, but it's going to be a volatile setup that can print. I mean, look at how the call is printed today. So the puts will print on that first red day. That'll be a lighter size though, in a higher risk trade with wider spreads. So right now, the main one I'm really seeing is CVX. TBT is okay. I like TBT too. But the top ones, the one I'm already in, FNKO, I'm already on track to have a nice green day tomorrow with this swing. And then the best one that I'm currently seeing is CVX. And then LABD, I'm waiting for the first red day on that. Those are going to trade differently though, because the stock is low volume, low liquidity. So that's something I size lighter on. Those are higher risk. And then TBT has some potential for a quick in and out put. In terms of the SPY, I'm just really not too interested in it. I will say, like in terms of the SPY, the macro bearish has kicked in, and this is looking very, very bearish. This is looking very bearish. So heading into tomorrow, in terms of resistance, $398, $398.17 to $400, $398.17 to $400. If that continues to react as a resistance, we're going to continue to go down to fill those lower gaps. There's a gap to fill at 389. We will continue to go down to fill those lower gaps. If $400 can maintain resistance, that is extremely bearish for the micro on the SPY, and also the macro is now kicking in, which is very, very dangerous. If we can break above 400, turn it into support level, we're going to start to see that micro reversal for a pop to 404 to 405. If we can break above 405, 406, turn that into support, then we look at a gap fill at 411.34, which is going to be one of the new best micro resistance levels, along with 427 to buy put options on the SPY. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm not too interested in trading SPY quite at the moment. I'm focused on stocks towards resistance like CVX, but $400 is going to be that new make it or break it resistance level on the SPY, $400. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at, guys. So we just got to wait for things to really hit their best prices, wait for a micro adjustment, because this is getting ridiculous. But the macro is kicking in, and SPY is just looking very, overall bearish right now. But we do have some setups lined up. We have the FNKO. This should sell off in the morning. We have the CVX, LABD, and a TBT, and then I'll be watching Upstart in the morning. So that is going to wrap up today's video lesson. If you do want to be a part of Trader Society, that's going to be the first link down below in the description. Once you join Trader Society, you get lifetime access, you get instant access. It's a one-time fee, and you will receive access to everything that is included for a lifetime value within the first page. So click the first page, watch the short video. It's going to explain to you what's included and if this program is right for you. If it sounds good, sounds like it's the right fit for you, then I would encourage you to join us. Now is the best time to be day trading in this market. Investors are getting absolutely destroyed, giving back all of their gains that they made in 2020, which were substantial gains, life-changing, game-changing gains. They're giving it all back now if they didn't take profits. With that being said, as a trader, you get in, you get out, you lock in the profits. It's fairly simple once you understand how the game works. Once it clicks, and once you're disciplined enough and know it works and stick to what clicks, it rises exponentially. That's just how the growth works with these options. When you don't know what you're doing, it just goes sideways or it just goes straight down. When you know what you're doing and you're disciplined enough to stick with it and cut your losses on these contracts at like 20% on the contract, and then take your wins above 40% plus, let your winners run sometimes 100% plus or even more, and you're sizing in like 10% of your account value, it's game changing, man. You could be making 4% returns plus, compounded. It's absolutely insane. Say you have $10,000. You have a $10,000 account. If you were to make a 10% return compounded within the next 50 days in a row, that would be 10K into 1.17 million. And it's possible with these green streaks that we're having, with these massive green days that we're having. It's very, very possible. We're seeing life-changing results within this program. My portfolio is up nearly 50% just in the past 6 days, compounding it. So the gains truly are life-changing, and I'm telling you, when you're disciplined and you know what works best for you, the way it works is the growth is just exponential. It goes like that. That's just how it goes with options. When it clicks and you understand what works, and you gotta be disciplined enough to stick with it and cut the loser short. So what I like to do is lately, I just trade the best setups at the best prices, a couple trades a week. When I get in, I put in about 10% of my account. So say you have 10K, put in about $1,000 into the contract, stop out at 20% of the contract. So you lose $200, you lose 2% of the account when you're wrong. When you're right, the returns can be exponential. On Thursdays and Fridays, we've been on trades that have gone up over 300%. That's a 30% return on your account if you're sizing in 10%, and your risk is 2%. In terms of my typical rewards, I like to aim, I've really been aiming lately with the volatility, right around 60 to 100%, which is a 6% to 10% return, which is 3 to 6 times more than what I would lose on a trade. Plus, we have an extremely high win rate above 70%. So with the high risk to return ratio and with the high win rate, it puts your growth exponentially. But you do have to learn how to trade these setups. You're not going to come in right away and absolutely kill it. It takes time to gain experience, to make the adjustments, to gain the discipline. But the knowledge, the education, and the discipline to really instill that into people is within this community. Live trading streams, you get to watch me trade live every single day at market open. You also get access to the daily, and on those live trading streams, you can ask me questions live on the spot. You get to see my portfolio. You get to see my open positions. You get to see when I enter. You get to see where I exit. You get to see the charts. You get to hear the price action live commentary. You get to see someone trade live, and you get to see them trade in a disciplined fashion where they're trading the best setup at the best price. These simple gap trading strategies that I've created. So you learn how to trade every day during the live trading streams. You'll see how the discipline is instilled within the way I trade. You'll see how I don't have fear of missing out and stuff like that. And you'll really grasp it and you'll really learn it. And, you get access to the video lesson library. Within the video lesson library, that's where you'll get access to also the education, where I teach you all the gap trading strategies, how to trade both ways, the price action trading strategies. You do also get access to the mindset, psychology training, risk management, and position sizing as well. You do also get access to the community. You can surround yourself with a community of traders who are trading the best setups at the best prices, who is dedicated to trading these setups, guys. I'm telling you, we got a great community. We had a member who alerted me on EOG yesterday. If he didn't give me that alert, I wouldn't have been aware of the setup. Sometimes I'm going to miss out on setups. That's why we need more eyes on these setups, but we need quality eyes, quality over quantity, right? He alerted EOG, and one of my previous trades came from a member who joined the program later at night on Friday, Roblox, where I made 86% in minutes. And then EOG was another phenomenal opportunity. So we have students who are putting me on to these amazing setups because they have that eye. Once you have that education, you know it works, you see it, you have that eye for the markets, you know what the best setup looks like, you know the big key levels to be traded not only, you know you only got to be making 12 trades a month. That's about it. So we're gonna really get you right, guys. We're gonna help you trade the best setups at the best prices. There's a lot more to it, and I would really encourage you, in terms of timing, now is the best time to join, because within time, we will be raising the price to this program exponentially. We have a 9-figure trader within the program who's mastered SPY. We also have a couple 6-figure traders who started with 5 figures who are absolutely crushing it on stocks. What I've been doing best and performing best at in terms of this year is trading stocks using the gap close reversal strategy, using the gap fill strategy, mainly put options. You can use these both ways. I prefer the put side. One of the best members within the program prefers the long, he does about 50% of his trades long, and he does the other 50% puts, right? It's just your preference. For me, it's mainly puts. And that also works in a bull market too, because we're using confirmations. If you trade with confirmations, whether the market's bull or bear, it's not going to affect you that much. But you don't want to bet against the macro either, even if you're in a micro trade, unless it's a very quick in and out. But this is just a perfect example of in terms of the macro situation, we knew it was coming, right? We knew the bearish macro move was coming. And when that kicks in, that's really going to affect everything. So if you're just focused on playing puts at the key levels like we've been doing, and when the macro kicks in too, it's you can afford to even be wrong for the micro if the macro saves you, if you can set your trade up in a way. But anyways, guys, it's going to be the first link down below in the description. Once you join, you can get started trading with us live tomorrow at Market Open. You also get access to the real-time trade alerts within the chat room, also alerted on the live streams, and the stock analysis, the watch list. So it's all within the program. I will see you guys tomorrow live at Market Open. Thank you so much for tuning in.